Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Next episode of Plain Jane Jeep, and this is going to be about the overall storage plan. So I had a couple goals in mind when I decided to do this build, and one of the major ones was being able to sleep inside the vehicle in a winter time, or all the time for that matter, but mainly in the winter or as a season extender. So most of my other vehicles, my old Willie's Jeep is more like a four-wheel motorcycle, and so you basically just live in the weather no matter what. And that's fine if you're in the mood for it and you have the right mindset for it, but it does make late season, early season trips and snow wheeling and things like that a little bit more difficult, and it's a very small vehicle. And then we have the LX45, which has a nice enclosed cab with a modular hardtop system and a heater, and that actually in the wintertime is fine on the inside. I do need to finish the defrost, but other than that, it is a small pickup, and so that has its drawbacks and challenges. Mainly, all your gear, or most of your gear, has to go in the bed of the vehicle, and then if you're in wet, sloppy conditions, you're getting mud and snow and wet and water all over your stuff. You can pack your stuff, and like I do, in waterproof dry bags, but still it is a headache to deal with. And then you have a large vehicle, not really a wheeling vehicle in my opinion, but a large vehicle like my F350 with the flip pack camper has tons of space in it. I've had apartments that are smaller than the flip pack when it's open, but it is a soft-sided camping solution, and so in the rain and the wet, it does, if you close the tent up with it wet, it can get a little funky, so you generally have to dry the tent out before you put it away. And so those are kind of some of the shortcomings, if you will, or a summary of all my vehicles and what I think are shortcomings of them that I want to solve on Jane. All right, so we've identified that we want to sleep inside the vehicle in this JKU, and we want that to be call it a 4-season solution. So that's with the hard top. You could do this with a soft top also, but with the hard top, I think it's a little bit better. And so basically, is the JKU big enough to sleep in? And I think it is. I think one person is sleeping inside with one person and their gear for a week-long trip is a practical option. Some people are going to disagree with that. Some people probably can't pack that light, but I think it's possible. I definitely take a more minimalistic approach to packing than most people. That doesn't say I go without. It just means that I'm very conscious about the amount of stuff that I take, and hopefully I can pass on some of that thought process and how I approach those problems with you. So in this video, so what I want to talk about is, I don't want a vehicle that has stuff all over it. I don't want a rooftop tent. I don't even want anything on the back of the vehicle. I don't even want the factory spare tire back there, in all honesty. What I want is a solution that allows me to camp one person to start, and I do think this is possible with two people in some way, but I'm going to start with one because that's how a majority of the trips I do, especially the long hard trips like a week of snow wheeling, or doing the Ducey Ersham Trail, or doing a backcountry discovery route across the state, you know, from border to border, things like that. I think it's possible. I think the JKU is about the largest vehicle I want to do the level of four-wheeling that I want. This is not a buggy. This is not going to do buggy trails, but I do think a JKU is a borderline small to mid-sized vehicle. And so by small, I mean you can fit it on some pretty darn hard trails if you're conscious about it, if you're, you know, careful. I'm not going to beat this thing to death. This is supposed to be nice. It's supposed to run down the highway at 80 miles an hour with the cruise control and the air conditioning on and all those things. Without a trailer, I want to be able to jump in this, have a packing system that's, you know, I can pack it for a week trip in 10 minutes. So that gets a little challenging when I talk about what that means with tire size. So as I've mentioned in the past, when I did the intro video, I feel that to get this Jeep to the level of capability that I want, and I think that entails a lot of different factors, and I'm sure people will argue with that, but I want a 40-inch tire. I think with this size vehicle, this weight vehicle, wheelbase vehicle, all those things combined, I think a 40-inch tire on a JKU is, or can be, the best all-around solution if done right. Is it easy? No. Is it going to be super cheap? No. But most of what I'm going to be talking about in this video with the storage solutions will be fairly universal for tire size. These solutions will work for anything from a stock tire JKU to something on 40s, and maybe even a little bit more than that, but I'm stopping at 40s, and I think that covers 99% of the people out there. What I am going to do different than most people is I am not going to have the spare tire on the back of the Jeep. I personally don't like that. I think it's a hindrance to visibility. I think it puts a lot of weight on these behind the rear axle that I don't really like. You have to have a heavier rear bumper to support that weight. You have to have a swing out tire carrier to access the hatch on the back of the Jeep. It just snowballs into all these different things and really starts to make the vehicle feel much larger and bulkier and heavier than it is. And so my solution, and I'm sure you've probably seen it, I am in the mock-up phase right now, but I'm going to put the tire right there. So that is a 40-inch tire in the back of a JKU. I do predominantly run this as a, I'll call it a, you know, 3-door configuration. So my rear seats are almost always down, but this rear tire will still work with the 60% rear section of the seat in the factory configuration. So it still goes up and down. It will go down and provide me an area to sleep, but it will go up and still allow me to keep my minivan status and carry around 3 people easily, 4 people poorly, and make it a much more multi-purpose vehicle. So I will be pulling the 40% part of the rear seat out. I'm not going to make it a permanent modification per se. I'm just going to do a bolt-in version where the 40% part of the seat will come out, and then I will build a parcel shelf, on the floor. I don't know what you would call it, but a flat floor underneath where the tire goes, and then I will be able to bolt a cradle for the tire to that shelf. And so those will be modular parts, fairly easy to get in and out, and I can even run in the configuration where I will be able to pull the spare tire out for the odd task where I need that extra space. And then if I really needed to, I could even pull the shelf back out. I could put the 40% of the seat back in, and I could have a good 4-seater or a poor 5-seater. But for me and how I use this, honestly, a 2-seater is probably fine, but I do think that there are, the 1% of times when I have guests in town, family visiting, we have friends over, or whatever, that having that third seat, and maybe even a small 4-seater, would be helpful. So I'm gonna elect to leave the 60% of the rear seat in at this stage. So let's find a place here in a minute, and I will pull over and we will do a walk around on what this actually looks like in the vehicle, some of the clearances and those things, okay? All right, we'll be right back with you as soon as I find a place. Hey, how you doing? This is the back of a Jeep. This is Jane, anyways. So what we're gonna do is take a look inside on where I have the 40-inch tire mocked up. This is still about as stock a Jeep as you can get, except for the hand-painted spare tire cover mural. But anyways, so stock of the back Jeep. I do think that this spare tire and this gets in the way of the rearward visibility a lot. And then also, actually the rear wiper motor does also. And in the long term, I actually hate the way the Jeep rear door operates. I do not like that you have to get the key out first, because I have power locks and now I can't find my key, and I don't know where it went. Somewhere. All right, I found my key. Literally that took 10 minutes because my pants have too many pockets. But besides the point. So, this is a base model Jeep, and I know that has limitations with the power locks, and if I had power locks, I could just unlock this door on the key. But it doesn't have a indoor handle, it doesn't have an indoor locking mechanism, nothing. And then you have to always open up the tailgate before you open up the hatch. And I just find that annoying. So, we'll take you in here and show you that is a 40-inch tire. And yes, it takes up some space in here. I do realize that. But it also is a very efficient use of space because it doesn't necessarily take up visible space. So I'm calling this the invisible spare tire. There, I said it. I know it's not invisible, but for how I want to run this vehicle, this is the best place I could possibly find to fit a 40-inch tire. And so it fits in here. It does not touch the C-pillar crossover. It does not touch the roof. It does not touch the sound bar. It just sits in here with my seating position. I still have, probably 4 or 5 inches between the seat and the tire. But overall, it just fits in that space well. And so this is just resting on the floor. It kind of fits in that little saddle where the two seats are. This is a kind of a gap filler that I got a while ago. It's zippered so that you can go either side or whatever, but it just keeps junk from falling in that gap. But so that's what it looks like inside. This is where it is in the back. The stock 60% section of the seat still functions like normal. So I can have a good 3-seater or a bad 4-seater, but I majority of the time run with the seats down anyways, because I usually haul packages and stuff in here. So what my plan is to, you can see on this side, so this is the 40% section of the seat, and what I would like to do is remove and delete that, not permanently, but the majority of the time, build a shelf underneath that I can have storage under, which I think actually will be probably, you know, 1, 2, 3 tool bags worth of storage underneath. I'll probably get a nice storage spot here for maybe recovery gear. This won't be here, so it'll save all that space. So that's a nice chunk of space. You also get this kind of channel of space, which doesn't look like much, but it's, you know, it's 7-8 inches all the way from the roll bar all the way to the front seat. And so you could fit something long and skinny right there. I don't know, maybe like an awning or something. But anyways, so this door will just be used to access the storage space here, that shelf underneath. There'll be a cradle for the tire that attaches to the shelf. And then I can also, there is a mount here that was, I don't have to look up and see what that was for stock, but there's a mount right here in the roll bar that I think is threaded on the top even too. But anyways, I can use this to build a mount to go up and over the top of the tire and hold the top of the tire. And then I will take a ratchet strap all the way around the tire and probably put the ratchet in the back right here. And then that cradle will extend underneath the tire. But you could do this with any size tire, I think, including, I'm gonna just do it with the stock one to start out with, because I still have stock tires until I figure out my axles. So I could even run the sweet mural inside, you know, I mean, that's gonna be awesome. But, so I'll start there. But that's a 40-inch tire, 40 inside. And honestly, it doesn't take up a ton of space. You're giving up one person of seat space, basically, to have a 40-inch tire not on the back of your Jeep, not have, I don't even know what that is, 100 and, you know, whatever pounds, 130 pounds probably with a wheel, plus a tire carrier, plus a heavy duty bumper. So, and then you got to open all that stuff up every time you want to get in the back of the Jeep, and then that tire's up in this area, you know, blocking all your rear view. So, you know, no thanks. So the next part is going to be pulling the spare tire mount, the third brake light. I'm going to move the license plate over, do all that stuff to clean up the back of the Jeep. But so I'll show you from inside here. So this is, I mean, you can see it back there, right? Okay, so there's the spare tire. But when I'm driving, which is this view, in the rear view mirror, and let's see here, if I turn this light off, maybe that'll help. Okay, so the rear view mirror, I only see it basically it's only this much of the rear view mirror, and it's directly underneath the wiper motor box, which is huge on these. And so I think, you know, if you look back there, I think removing the factory spare tire and the third brake light will actually make a bigger difference in rearward visibility than moving the tire to behind the seat. And so the other nice thing is, you know, say you're driving here. Sorry if there's loud noise, I'm gonna shut the door. But so the shoulder check visibility to this side is still just like stock. So if you're in traffic and you want to do that, you know, quick glance over your left shoulder for blind spot in the mirror, no difference there. And then on this side, no difference there. And then all that stuff there is going to go away. So the only time I see it is about an inch or so in the rear view mirror. And I mean, I have to crank around to see it back there. So that is where I'm going to put the spare tire in my Jeep. It's invisible, not really, but if you've watched this long, thanks for following along on these crazy ideas. And I just like trying different solutions for, you know, problems that I haven't really seen approach this way yet. So if you have any ideas that you've tried and you want to explain, drop a comment below, or contact me at brennonsgarage.com, info@brennonsgarage.com for email, and maybe we'll come up with something even cooler. But this does everything that I want so far. And then I have all this space, so that's about 30 inches between the tire and the wheel well for sleeping, and it's 75 inches front to back if I just tilt this seat, scoot it forward, and then tilt it forward like stock. And then the headrest can drop down out of the way. So yeah. And then the other thing is going to be utilizing this space for a small electric fridge, I think. So we only have about, from the tailgate when it's shut to the tire is about 16 inches. But, you know, you could go up tall. So if there's like a tall skinny one, something with a lid that opens this way, that would be good. And then when I probably have a box here for kitchen and food, and then those two will come up here and then rest up here on top of the cooler in sleep mode. And then all this space here for a bed. And I mean, this is getting into bonus footage here, but I mean, you can see even with the seat up, I could sleep in here. So I think with the seat back. So move this out of the way, scoot it forward. You could even go as far as, if you're a really tall guy, you can swap the 2-door seat frame, and then the seat goes, I think, an extra 6 or 8 inches further forward. So gives you options. But this is actually like a roomy, I mean, I don't know, maybe I'm just because I'm a hammock guy, but this is a roomy area for me to sleep. Oh, and then the last controversial thing. Yeah, so if you stuck along this far, thanks. But I don't carry a wheel. So I haven't done that in a long time. I know it's not what everybody does, and yes, you could break a wheel. We all know this. Could happen. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. You could break 2 wheels. You could break 4 wheels. whatever else. But I've decided over the years, and I haven't for the last 12 or so, carried a spare wheel in my off-road vehicles. I carry a spare tire on big trips, but on even that's getting a little bit meh on, like, if I'm base camping it somewhere like Moab, in my flatty or whatever else, where I could leave the spare tire at the truck. I do carry a lot of gear to fix the tire. I have onboard air. I have a plug kit. I have a patch kit. I have ways to break down the tire. I have glue tread. I even have an inner tube in the flatty. So that stuff takes up a lot less space than a wheel. And if I don't have a wheel, I can use the inside of this tire for storage. And so all I really lose for storage space is the tire just becomes a shell. And so I can put stuff in the tire. And so that I am envisioning that that I can do my personal gear bags, sleep system, something. I could even build some kind of, locker that fit in there that had a door on it if I wanted, or some kind of storage system. I also am planning on doing something, if I can get the camera far enough away here, up here, so I can do a net similar to I could do a net up here, similar to how I have it in my flatty, and then I can put bedding or soft stuff, coats, all that stuff fits up there. So just trying to find different ways to do this and try some different things. And these are, so far, I mean, even doing this, they are permanent modifications. If I don't like it, I can change it later. But just with the test drive, I don't even notice it there. So why not try it? Why not try something different? Stop, bolting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of stuff to the tailgate of your Jeep, and slim it down and try that. So this is coming from a flat fender guy, so I know I can do it, and this is a big vehicle for me. So I'm really looking forward to having, maybe I can have a 12-volt fridge now right there, and I can, have a space to sleep inside in the winter when it's snowing outside. I could even put a heater in here. Well, it already has a heater. Heater's right there. So lots of options. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thanks for following along. Try to get my finger out of the camera. And yeah. Next video will be the dismantling of all the tailgate stuff, starting the conversion inside. Thanks for listening to me ramble. Thanks for following the channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, leave a comment below. I don't care. I'll answer it. I'm used to it at this point. So thanks for following along. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.